Hi, in this video I'm going to declare a class called GradeBook. So here I start public class GradeBook, and it has a method. The method is called display message. So far all the classes we declared had a single method, but this method used to be main. Main, very special method, the entry point to an application. It is automatically called by the Java virtual machine. So this is unique about main. Other methods, like for example display message, need to be called explicitly. How to do that I'm going to show you in a moment. But before I do that, I want to point out a couple things about this method declaration here. So we have a keyword public. Public is the access modifier. It shows the availability of my method. Public is the most permissive availability. It means anyone can access my method provided there is access to the bytecode. I also want to point out display message. This is my method name. This is the name I'm going to use to call the method. Right after the method name, you see two parentheses. That is the parameter list. In our case, there is no parameter. The parameter list is empty. What that means is my method doesn't need any additional information to perform the task. It can just do it, which is great. Later on, we will see examples that will have additional information provided as a parameter. Right before the method name, we have the return type. So this tells me whether my method is returning a value, and if yes, what is the type of the value returned. Here it says void. Void means no value is returned. I also want to point out the two braces. Here we have an opening brace, closing brace. This delimits the body of my method, and the code segment inside the method body is going to be executed when the method is called. There is no code segment here yet. We're going to change this right now. I'm going to add a print statement. I say system out print line welcome to the GradeBook. Oops. At this point, I have a class declaration that contains a method that contains one single statement. This is not an application yet because it does not include a main method. Applications do need a main method as the entry point. We're going to add a second file to our project, and this second file will include the main method. So I'm right here, I'm hovering over GradeBook. You can see the purple icon. I'm right clicking here. I say I want to add a file. It takes me right here to my folder. If this should not be the case, you might need to navigate to the folder until you can see the project name with the purple icon. And I'm going to add a second file called GradeBookTest.java. I'm going to add it. I'm done. I'm creating it. And now in my GradeBook test file, I'm going to declare a class that contains the main method. Public class GradeBookTest, and it contains the main method. Public static void main string array args. And now inside my main method, I want to test the functionality of the class I just created. I'm going to do that by creating an instance of GradeBook. So here I go, GradeBook, my GradeBook is new GradeBook, and I'm going to use this instance of my GradeBook to call the method. So here I say my GradeBook dot, this is the dot operator, display message. Now let's look at this line here. I have gradebook, my gradebook. This is a variable declaration. I have a type, gradebook. I have a variable, my gradebook. Now, you heard me say this is a type, gradebook. And if I switch over, here it says class gradebook. It doesn't say type gradebook. Java is an extensible language. I can extend it by creating new types. The way I create new types is by declaring a class. So here I declare a class gradebook, but then I can use it as a type. Look at this piece of code. We had it before in a different context. I'm creating an instance of scanner. Once again, I have a local variable of type scanner. In this case, Java provided me with the class scanner, which is the type of my variable. And the name of my variable is input. Gradebook is the type of my variable. The variable name is my gradebook. In both cases, I'm initializing my variable with a new instance. So here I have a new instance of gradebook. The new operator reserves the memory on the heap. The constructor, and we're talking more about constructors a little bit later, initializes my new instance of gradebook. The new operator reserves the memory on the heap. The constructor initializes my new scanner. Now, you might notice if I create a new instance of scanner, I have something between my parentheses. This is an argument. That means in order to create a new scanner instance, additional information is needed. Now here, in order to create a new instance of gradebook, no additional information is needed. That's why I have an empty argument list. I also want to point out that there's an interesting use of the language. My gradebook is really a variable that contains a reference to an instance of type gradebook. Input is a variable that contains a reference to an instance of type scanner. So rather than saying I have a variable that has a reference to an instance of type gradebook, which is very wordy, you will hear me say I have an instance of gradebook. I want you to understand this use of words. This I would call an instance of gradebook. That I would refer to as an instance of scanner. So an instance of scanner, an instance of gradebook. I'm going to use this instance of gradebook to access its members. In my case, there's only one member. The only member is a method. It's called displayMessage. The way I access it is I use my instance and, very important, a dot operator. That means I'm going to access something from the instance, and here I'm specifying what I access. It is my method, displayMessage. Once again, my argument list is empty, and that nicely aligns to my method declaration, which had an empty parameter list. Now you can see something analogous up here. I have an instance of scanner, a dot operator, and I'm accessing a member of the scanner class, which is nextInt. Once again, no special information needed. There's an empty argument list. So I'm going to remove that. And there's one last thing I want to point out, which is the keyword static. Here, between my access modifier public and my return type void, there is this extra, there is this extra keyword static. If you check here, no static keyword here. The difference is, if I have a static keyword, I call it a static method, and I don't need an instance to access it. If I do not have the static keyword, I call it an instance method, and I need an instance to access it. So here, no keyword static, which means I need to create an instance and I need to use my instance to access my method. Main has to be static because it's the entry point to my application. At the time when main is called, no instance has been created yet. So very important, main needs to be static. If it's not static, it won't work. So this was it for now. See you next time.